Hey guys, Cal2C here, back with some more 200 Zoom. There's currently the cash game leaderboards going on, so I'm going to record 300 hands at 200, and we'll see how we do on the leaderboard. I opened this under the gun because the big blind's playing 8% of his hands in my sample. So going to make quite a large adjustment and open a hand that I would usually pure fold. And just gonna be checking here with ace-9 and folding. Gonna see about 9 some of the time. On a 41, I'm gonna do it. You could also have a range check strategy on this board. It's probably one of the parts I'm weakest at, is responding to or playing hands where you get flatted as the pre-flop raiser, because I play a 3-bet forward strategy myself, so I am not too familiar with the flatting strategy, so I tend to not play too well against it. Definitely one of the areas of my game that needs most improvement. Tempting to bluff this some of the time, but on a 56 I'm not going to do it. I think we need to try and control our frequencies there quite a lot. Okay, it's recording properly. I'm only checking because last time I recorded a video and it corrupted and wasn't able to upload it. Can you use large bet or check on this texture? This hand will get in there sometimes with the club and the diamond. Blocking is continues, but on a 92, just gonna be check folding. See betting very aggressively on this board, and I think almost always barreling this one on the turn. This actually pretty close, and this guy's really nitty, so I think I'm actually gonna make an exploit fold here. Like, he uses 2.5x and he's opening only 14% of hands, including, well, in my sample, 17% from that position. And we've got a pretty damn good hand to bluff, but I don't feel like this is the player type we do want to bluff. I'm going to be in it and just check and be happy when he shows me king 10 or king jack. Okay, I don't get to see. Pretty sure he has a king there. Pretty sure. Who knows? Maybe I got wrecked. Yeah, against a reg, I'd be bluffing that hand all day. But bluffing fish isn't always the ideal scenario to put yourself in. A7's going to mix against the size. I'm gonna range bet a quarter here. Again, not the most optimal strategy, but I think still like a good one that doesn't lose us too much EV. And eliminates any mistakes we might make on the flop. And we're just going to have to bluff catch this one, I think. Yeah, I think we're just too high up in our range to fold. Expect to be mostly losing, but with this price, I'm going to be calling. And we're good. I think it's quite a poor bet size from our opponent here. Doing a lot of 4-betting against this bigger size, and this hand will definitely get in there. Like, it looks like a perfect hand to call, but calling this hand out of position versus a big 3-bet size, like, it's not as good as it looks. And unfortunately, we get snap jammed on. Seem to be getting some nice hands though, so hopefully we'll do well in the leaderboard. We get 4-bet. This guy's not 4-bet once in 260 hands, so again, I'm going to be exploit folding against him. Against like a good regular, I would be calling this hand. Rolling for check raise here. We roll a 53, so we're not going to be check raising. But we are going to be calling. High frequency bet here. And we're definitely going to develop some leads on the turn. I really like just leading this one, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Even though my RNG told me not to. And we turn a straight here. Sizing's interesting. I'm going to go to third spot. And I think on the river, I'm just going to jam. Unblocking all his pairs, all his 2 pairs. Sets. Yeah, I think I'm just going to jam this one. And we got the lead fruit. Interesting that he bets big into 2 players on the flop and then folds to a small turn lead. Probably had a hand like King Queen of clubs, but definitely like something to think about that this opponent's capable, and I mean this guy's a much better player than me, that he's capable of having A7 seems like just about the worst hand to see bet here, so I'm just going to check it back despite rolling aggro. But yeah, a lot of opponents aren't ever really going to be folding to his turn lead after they bet 2/3 on the flop into 2 players. So worth noting that he's going to definitely be capable of finding some bluffs on later streets where a lot of players just don't have any. And anyone marked in red like this is a good reg, better than I am. So you'd expect them to be able to make plays like that. So I'd usually min bet my range on this board, but I'm going to size up against the fish. Do some trapping here when we have the 10. Blocking, say he has 2 pair, we block his river outs. We also just block him having hands like 2 pair, basically hands that have any equity against us. I think I'm going to mostly check this one back. And not my favorite river in the world. Just thinking if we ever hero this. I think this is one of the few opponents that has bluffs, but I think his bluffs are like king queen. Yeah, maybe if I have more time bank, I might find an occasional call there, but I'd never be calling in that spot against regs at kind of lower stakes. I'm just going to be calling here with ace-4, although it's a reasonable hand to squeeze. Just with the short stacks. Like if I 3-bet, I'm committed against definitely his stack, and probably even his stack, because I'd be going for like 17 bigs. So I'd be almost committed. And I don't think we call 8s. I'd prefer to call a hand like king 7 than pocket 8s here. Even a hand like king 2, I'd prefer to call. Blocking the 2 would be really nice. And nice to win this one. Mostly opening fours under the gun, with the small sizing I use. On a 48, I think I'm going to fold on a 48 against the size. Probably calling a third of the time there. And I'm going to be free betting here because I think this guy's going to actually. This guy seems actually somewhat competent. So I think he's going to open wide when the big blind's massively overfolding. So I'm going to free bet a bit more aggressively. Three betting Gazzy B. watched this guy stream a couple times. He's great. Very entertaining to watch. So we're a third of the way through the challenge. I think I have 15 minutes. Okay, so we should be a slightly longer video this time, but that's fine. Should end up about 45 minutes. So. Probably going to pure free bet this versus min open specifically. Against 2.2, it's still mostly free bets, but it mixes. I'm going to bet my range here for 40%. This hand's actually going to be pretty much our best triple barrel on like clean runouts, blocking the highest over pairs he has that he flats pre, jacks and queens, and unblocking his flop floats as well. And I think we want to be pretty aggressive still on this card. Doing a lot of 1/3ing. And gonna check the river. And probably call a bet. That's pretty horrible if he does jam, actually. And we're going to be bluffing the river with threes. We can have king queen, we can have some flushes. I think I'm going to use a large size. And easy call versus. And just happy he doesn't jam there, because I think we probably have to call off a queen. Yeah, he definitely could have stacked us there. I mean, if he jams, I'd probably do mix. But I think I have to mostly call with queen X. As uncomfortable as it feels, I think he's a capable enough player to maybe turn a hand like sevens into a bluff on the river there. And we bluff into a flush. So not much we can. Well, we're never getting that hand to fold. We're mainly targeting one pair hands. Gonna exploit fold queen 10 against someone. Even though it's a small sample, this guy looks extremely tight. I think that queen jack hand, he's thinking I have a lot of pocket tens, pocket jacks. So I think he's sizing to try and get a call from them, which is a fine strategy. So it might be higher EV for him if he thinks, if he jams that I always fold tens and jacks, whereas if he bets that size, I sometimes call them. And then I'm also maybe even mixing folds with some of my weak queen X against jam, though I don't think in GTO land I'm ever allowed to fold this if he jams. 10-6 is close against an optimal opponent. I would be defending, but again, this guy's very much on the tighter side. And rolling a bet here. I would check back sometimes. This isn't a board I'd range bet. So I would definitely be checking back at a half decent frequency with the Queen Jack, especially with the Jack of Hearts. Don't think I'm going to range bet this board, although I don't think it would lose too much EV. Range betting this for half pot, for example, and on a 71, I'm going to check back. And pure checking turn. And pure checking river if he checks. Sometimes bluff catching as well. This is going to be a check raise a lot for time. And against this, I think we just have to call sometimes on a 21. Going to be calling against a capable opponent. And yeah, I think this hand's going to check raise a hell of a lot. I'm going to keep back my range for a third pot now on this turn. We have sets, flushes, straights. Puts his over pairs with no heart in a very tough spot. Roll a check back here. I'm using 3/4 or check on this board. This hand will bet a lot with the backdoors, but not always. We actually roll a bluff here. Don't love it, but I am going to have some hands that want to jam. I.e. the queen or ace of clubs. I think I'm actually going to go smaller than jam. And we get it through, which is super nice. Queen 10, going to be folding. Occasionally, we roll a float. Range bank a quarter here. I'm actually going to fold here. When the Rec's in the small blind, we actually want to tighten up because they are going to be flatting way wider than they should, or a lot of them have flatting ranges, which is then A means we don't steal the blinds as often, and B means the big blind who's a reg is going to squeeze quite aggressively, or very aggressively, let's say, in the big blind. And checking range here. And just folding. Like when he flats in the cutoff, this board just absolutely smashes his range. I'm going to be ISOing here. And we'll fold unless the undergun player calls, in which case we'll also call. And hope for some hearts. Or a couple fours. was gonna say I might bluff this like 5–10% of the time. Um, but not very often. Gonna float here. And probably gonna check raise turn. I mean, we're good once every so often here with our 4. I'm gonna check raise river here as well. And I'm gonna go all in here. On a 14 roll. I'm not just doing this with the nut flush either. Like I have, even the jack high flush is good enough to jam. Unfortunate. His call's fine. It's just one of those spots where we're going to have some value. We've got a very good hand to bluff. We just need to jam. I'm going to have so many flushes in this line. Like, and I'm jamming any jack high flush or better. I'm going to mix some checks here. 3-way. I think I'm going to start betting turn. Pure free betting king queen here. Oh, this is uncomfortable. This guy's a 3-bet, or 4-bet rather, in my 160 hand sample on him. I think I'm still going to be calling ace king, but I'm not happy about it. And if he jams, it's again super horrible. We have 40% equity against queens. Maybe it's just slightly above 40. Against that size, we just have to call. Oh, we roll a 3-bet here. with queen nine off. Some of these kind of trashy hands with like a half decent blocker just get free bet blind on blind. And yeah, gonna be calling here. That's a very nice turn. On a 14, we'll bet ourselves, doing a lot of checking there. And I might occasionally turn a hand like tens into a bluff here. I think I probably would even. Can be squeezing. Against this size, I think we have a pretty clear call with a suited ace. I think he's literally min clicked. Yeah, he has. So getting just crazy price on a call. And flopping two pair. Against the size, I'm pretty tempted to just jam. Or raise small. I think I'm going to raise. Yeah, I think I'm going to raise this one. Flip. Nice. That's a really nice flip to hold. I'm definitely due that one. It's been running way under EV for a long time now, so nice to win a big one of them, that's for sure. On a 17, we're going to be defending here. Yeah, I mean, the hand kind of plays itself, I think, after I raise turn. To be honest, I have no idea if my play's GTO or not. On a 4, we're going to keep barreling here. But doing a lot of checking with this hand, like, kind of the worse our ace is, the more we want to bet in general. But I think this will mix in very occasionally as a bet. I could be wrong, it might be a pure check on the turn, but on a 4 roll, I'm going to bet it. And we roll a check here. It's a decent board for both of us. The queen favors my range. The 5 and the 6 definitely favor his range. On an 18, gonna be overbetting. No, I don't think we get to overbet. Because the 3 is much better for his range, so I'm gonna go with 3/4. And I'm gonna overbet river. Yeah, gonna be overbetting river, I think. Going as thin as probably queen 10 here for value. And opening very wide against someone that's playing this tight. And the blinds look weak-ish. I mean, this guy looks like a somewhat bad rogue just from his stats. And the small blind's a fish that's on the tighter side. I can be c-betting a lot on this board. Probably just c-bet range, to be honest. And do we go for the value bet? I think on a 6 I'm going to go for it. This is very thin. Just targeting 7x really. But a lot of his 7x is going to either block this straight or be a7. So I think those hands are going to be somewhat tempted to call, to be honest. And checking range here. And I'm going to still be checking this hand a lot with this king of spades. This guy can definitely have check raises in the big blind. I think, yeah, we still need to be really careful on this texture, on the turn, given all three players' ranges. And we are going to go for value on the river. Debating between block and large size. Like, our hand's good enough to go large size. But I think I'm just going to go with a block. Want to make sure Jack X scores, essentially. Was the principal driver behind my thinking. I think with no spade or diamond, I'm just going to pure check. And we roll the free bet here with the king 4. And going to be doing some barreling on the queen. On a 53, it's really close. Gonna go check this time. Think I'll go 50-50 with this hand. And I think I'm just going to fold. This guy looks on the passive side. Again, I mean, I don't have much sample, but... And we roll a bet here with Queen Jack. Doing a lot of checking as well, though. And I'm going to size up with my open into this player specifically, as he limped and then called not just an ISO, but a 3-bet of an ISO with 8-6 suited under a gun. So I think he's just going to be playing way too many hands. So I'm going to size up with my good hands. And yeah, I think that's just going to make us more money against, like, I mean, this guy looks like by far the worst player in the pool. And we roll a bet here. Going to be using a third pot sizing with range here. Don't think we get to have big bets on a board that's far more favourable for him. And we roll a turn bet. I think I'm gonna use 3/4 or check. I'll four bet ace queen. And I think gonna shut down on this river with the diamond. We have to be really careful here because on the turn we're saying we have a king or a draw. There are way more draws than there are kings. And now when the river comes another king, like we just have very few value combos compared to bluff combos. So we need to be extremely selective. So I don't think when we have a diamond, especially the jack of diamonds, that we're ever going to be bluffing. I think there's zero chance he folds a queen, unless maybe we jam. And I think even then he might call. Ten-4 suited. I'm not sure if this is a defend or not against essentially a min raise. So I'm going to mix for it, and on a 7 roll I'll defend. And we're nearly at 300 hands. This is going to check raise some of the time here. Going to do it on a 51. Wouldn't be check raising with a lot of our range here. And if you'd open 2.5, we'd be check raising less on 224 because we fold a lot of our suited 2x. But against his almost min size, we're going to have way more suited 2x in our range, so we had to be more aggressive on this texture. Ace jack gonna mix. I think I'm gonna use 3/4 or check, and yeah, on an 11 roll, gonna bet. And we roll double barrel here. Gonna use an overbet sizing, really polarize myself on the turn. But yeah, so say he opens 2.5x. I'm not going to be calling like queen 2 suited in the big blind or jack 2 suited. Whereas when he uses 2.08, if we go back to the start of the hand, sorry, I'm not very good at the with the replay. So yeah, when he uses such a small size, we're going to have a lot more deuce X. We're going to have 2-3 suited, 2-4 suited, probably 2-5 suited, and then probably queen 2 suited plus as well. Whereas when he uses 2.5, I'm folding all my suited deuce X apart from ace 2 and king 2 suited. So we don't get to be nearly as aggressive. So it's small edges or thought processes like this that like you really need to be taking into account, in my opinion, if you're going to be having a good win rate in these games. Not that I know if I even have a good win rate in these games. I mostly play 100, but I'm pretty confident in my ability. This is a low frequency 3-bet pre. I think I'm just going to check back. Am I? Well, doesn't really hit him at all, actually. Sure, he's going to have like nines through jacks, but he's also just going to have a shit ton of overcards. I guess we don't need so much protection when we have the king. Yeah, I think I should check back king 7 and bet like 8-7. Um, because when we have this hand, like say he has king queen suited or a very passively played ace king. This is not an open, by the way. I should have folded. Although I guess there's two tighter players. But this guy actually doesn't look that tight. And I'm using 2/3 of check on this board. Sorry, I had to, I couldn't quite get all the words out that I wanted to say there. We've hit 300 hands, so I'm gonna sit out on the next big blind and end it there. With this bet, just trying to fold out his tens, his nines, his eights. And yeah, I mean, we have a pretty good hand to be bluffing, I think. Doing a lot more checking on this board when we have the ace of clubs, and we should be checking a hell of a lot as well. Three ways here. On 19, going to start betting turn. Going to go 2/3 or check. I'm not sure about sizing here. This might be a spot I want to use a small size. Betting this board very aggressively versus small blind range. And going to be checking back. I think with how little this guy's free betting, he definitely has pocket eights, pocket nines, maybe even pocket tens in his range. So definitely going to be checking the turn. And yeah, how do we do? I think we're about even, but we're down a lot in EV. Yeah, down a buy-in in EV, up a buy-in in actual dollars, so it feels very good. I mean, I still, after yesterday's sesh, still down in EV, but oh well. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed and see you in the next one. Later.